respond with change of environment. Kind of argument would be powerful when we consider the kind of injustice, sense of injustice about the recent consequences. Then you are now working for one of National Assembly. So they statute to provide with resources, additional compensation for policy research, and they are provided with automobile in his own purpose. It's actually exclusive for his use, and also secretary and expert staffs were qualified to shape his memorandum, kind of competent to conduct the research problems to make a better law, for example. So, how do you respond if you are asked to research one brief about reform on immunities and privileges of the National Assembly? So you will begin with the second sources. What does this institution stand for? What is the definition of privileges and immunities of National Assembly? And also we will refer to textbooks on Constitution and law, textbooks which provides an insight and interdisciplinary perspective in the cases, and also social historical implication about that institution, and major cases in timeline to expose yourself to essences of rulings, constitutional code, might not directly deal with the question about privileges and immunities of National Assembly. But there would be some ambit of a similar cases, for example, the nature of Congress. What is the ideal in the democratic form of government? What is the element of republicanism in the context of a democratic politics? The kind of series could be evinced over similar cases. And also, how do you see the idea of the criminal justice system? Always safe to make all the people equal under the law. That is an ideal. However, in other aspects, you consider the needs of institutions to promote the activities of Congress. Political activity needs not to be restrained, to represent the popular will, kind of interest, and the competing policy point could be research. And the scope of a second sources would be. And typically, the United States is a very vast country, which is composed of 50 states. And they're communal countries, so that they may see it necessary to articulate in a systemic way. In the course of interaction, you will find the restatement, for example, is quite authoritative legal resources. You will refer to in handling legal question. And would act with ample which employs a report, kind of an eminent scholar who write their respective section, basics of civil code, what the principle, the rubric could be established by their writings. And you also have some annotated work in Korea in which the respective scholars who work on. So very helpful annotation work to put the meaning of the core rulings and some variations between cases they distinguish in legal cognitions of terms and definitions. How would it be applied to other cases? How do you understand in organic way from previous cases? The kind of questions could be spelled out, but in quite authoritative summary. So it should not be extensive, since it needs to work as kind of a judo or statue. And we, in the case of U.S. restatement, act in which is centralized council. The council is ultimately responsible to comply with restatement. So they also to see, for example, many fragmentary works from legal authors across the nation. And they will not discuss the proceedings. Actually, they exchange the opinion letters or any scholars sold, which is preliminary before the final stage of reduction. So actually, the final version was fairly in neat fashion, as you would expect. Nonetheless, the process could be recorded, and not only recorded, but also left intact, extant, which means it's meaningful for subsequent generations. So they may refer to the memorandum produced during the progress of interchange beyond the final version of restatement. So a member of council would also express their opinion. Many historical sources would be made available to your reference. So they have a similar tune kind of ideas in Korea. So in research, a second sources and primary sources to resolve the question or any draft in persuasive way that the list of suggestion points will be finally derived in articulation. Then we return to the substance of a American legal system. So let us consider. We'll come back to the legal research methods at the short discussion on some more interesting text. On page 15, you'll see history of American common law. In 1066, the Normans conquered England and William Conqueror and his successors begin the process of unifying the country under their rule. One of the means they used to this end was the establishment of King's Court, or curia regis. Before the normal conquest, disputes had been settled according to local custom. So this is quite epochal. The William the Conqueror, who administered kingdom in England, so the Western civilization would be enriched, which lived from the Roman Empire. Now, systemic way of political power come into advance in Sweden, and often considered as the origination of a Western history. So, what is a change from this conquest? So, King's Court, curia regis, is a centralized form of a law. Actually, no distinction would be started in this time between legislation and judicial administrative justice. They rather be commingled to support the will of monarch, king. So curia regis might be borrowed as an originator of modern form contract. In other sense, it might be kind of a sprinkle who responds with the legal disputes among citizens. In any case, this form of actually the word court is the kind of expression to describe the cabinet, for example, the ministries or the secretaries for the president. That would be used exclusively to denote judiciary in these modern times, not the rest. So imagine how the British Island will manage their public lives. Actually, local custom is governing. They might rely on nobility or a diet of ruling might, for example, so they vested in world with might and military power. They administer piecemeal structure of a local code, local custom. So the conquest is quite consequential in this sense, as the King's Code sought to establish a common or uniform set of customs for the whole country. The body of rules that evolved under the King's Code was the beginning of the common law. Called common because it was meant to be common to the entire English realm. So now they will exploit central power, actually organized through the war theater. War consequence often is effective to nationalize, in some cases, and to centralize the system and institution. So the court now considers some system in law and cohesiveness in the rulings. So they respect the precedent, and it must be made common to govern the whole nation. So we call it common law. as the number of courts and cases increased, the more important decisions of each year were gathered together and recorded in yearbooks. The yearbooks, in terms of legal research also, are most antedated form we now discern to identify the ancient legal rules. And actually, this tradition also upheld through the history. For example, we now have a court reports from various states in the United States. A federal report also is available, which is produced by a federal courts. And in the law comparative, in comparative law, the yearbooks are also important. For example, in studying the fashion of reporting, how do we report the cases? For example, private enterprises might involve principally responsible for court reporting. Of course, in collaboration of a professional judges or lawyers, they have a scrupulous side about its weight and what the implications in extent. This is an important case. It should be selected as a report. And in other cases, the court administration officially involved in reporting practice. Commercial establishments will be important in some countries. That is one point to see the comparative point about legal system and laws. And we might have some historical implications, which is useful, for example, to our asylum. The judges, when settling disputes similar to ones that have been decided before, use the yearbooks as the basis for their decision. If a case was unique, judges had to create new rules, but they based their decisions whenever possible, on the general principles suggested by early cases. The body of judgment law to develop this system is still used today and is known as the common law. So, such important principles still decisive.